Do you really think all the effort you're putting in is leading to real progress? What if everything you've done so far has led to absolutely nothing? What if all the hard work you've been doing is just wasted time and meaningless labor? Effort is a part of life. We all work hard to achieve our goals. And a lot of times, we believe that the answer is just to push ourselves harder, to the very limit. But is that really the best way? Maybe it's not about how hard we work, but how smart we work. Before you just keep going, stop and ask yourself, am I really making progress or just wearing myself out? Let me tell you a quick story. I think you'll find it interesting. Imagine you have 6 hours to chop down a tree. How would you use that time? Most people would grab an axe and start swinging right away, right? But what if that axe is dull? No matter how hard you work, you'll just end up exhausted, with very little progress to show for it. Abraham Lincoln once said, "If I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first four sharpening the axe." It's a simple statement, but it holds a powerful truth. If you're using the wrong approach, working harder won't help. You're just wearing yourself out. And that's the frustrating part, right? You can work as hard as you want, but if your approach is wrong, it just leads to exhaustion, not results. Have you ever worked really hard on something, only to realize later that it didn't actually get you anywhere? It's kind of like trying to chop down a tree with a dull axe, just like in Lincoln's story. The truth is, effort isn't free. Every time we put in work, we're spending something valuable, our time, energy, and even money. And since all of these are limited, we need to make sure we're using them wisely. So why do we sometimes fall into the trap of working hard but not making real progress? Well, there are a few common reasons why this happens. Let's go over 5 big ones. Number 1, the "I can do it all" mindset. We often think that doing more means we'll achieve more, so we take on more responsibilities, push ourselves harder, and try to do everything at once. But here's the problem. When our efforts are scattered in too many directions, we barely move forward. Take a look at this. This is what happens when we try to handle everything at once. Our energy is spread thin, and despite working hard, we make little real progress. It's frustrating, isn't it? Now compare that to this. Instead of spreading yourself too thin, what if you focused all your energy in one direction? When we concentrate on what truly matters, our efforts compound, and we make real progress. That's the power of essentialism. Not about doing more, but about doing less, but better. The bigger issue? When we're scattered like this, we let everything else dictate our time, instead of taking control ourselves. We jump from task to task, feeling overwhelmed, and over time, we lose sight of what truly matters. So instead of asking, "How can I do everything?" maybe a better question is, what will actually make the biggest impact? Time and energy are limited. The key isn't to do more, it's to focus on what truly matters. So ask yourself, are you spreading yourself too thin? Or are you focusing on what actually moves you forward? The choice is yours. Number 2, the comfort of familiarity. Have you ever stuck to something just because it felt safe, even when you knew it wasn't really working? Yeah, we've all been there. Even when we know our current approach is inefficient, we still hesitate to change. Why? Because trying something new is risky. As humans, we're wired to avoid risk and stick to what feels familiar. A new approach could lead to success, sure, but it could also lead to failure. And let's be honest, that uncertainty can be intimidating. That's why we often choose the safe option. It's like chopping wood with a dull axe. Deep down, we know a sharper axe would get the job done faster. But instead of sharpening it, we keep swinging the dull one, just because it's what we're used to. In many cases, we'd rather deal with familiar struggles than step into the unknown. Because what if the new way doesn't work? What if we fail? So we hold on to outdated, inefficient methods, even when we know there are better alternatives out there. But here's the thing. Just because something feels comfortable doesn't mean it's the best way forward. Real growth only happens when we step outside our comfort zone, embrace change, and actively look for better ways to improve. So ask yourself, are you sticking to the familiar just because it's comfortable? Or are you willing to step up and try a better approach? Growth begins the moment you stop choosing comfort over progress. Number 3. The trap of confusing means with goals. We often make the mistake of mistaking effort itself for the goal. Effort should be a means to an end, but too often, we become so fixated on the process that it turns into the goal itself. Take learning a foreign language, for example. The real objective is to communicate fluently and use the language in real-life situations. However, over time, people often become obsessed with memorizing vocabulary or mastering grammar rules. At some point, completing a textbook or checking off study hours starts to feel like the real achievement, while actual speaking practice and practical usage take a back seat. In the end, they might reassure themselves by thinking, "At least I'm working hard," but their ability to use the language doesn't improve significantly. This happens because effort itself can be comforting. The feeling of working hard can create the illusion of progress, even when we're not actually moving in the right direction. But no matter how much time we put in, if we don't regularly check whether our efforts are truly leading us toward our goal, we risk wasting time and energy on actions that don't bring real results. What truly matters isn't how much effort we put in, but whether that effort is aligned with our actual goal. Instead of simply being satisfied with the process, we need to consistently ask ourselves, is what I'm doing right now truly bringing me closer to the outcome I want? Number 4. The trap of false hope and expectations. Have you ever kept pushing forward, believing that eventually things will work out if you just don't give up? It's a comforting thought, and sure, hope and optimism can be powerful motivators. But here's the problem. Sometimes they blind us to reality. We convince ourselves, if I just keep going, something good will happen. I just need to be patient, and things will turn around. But what if that never happens? This mindset is especially dangerous when luck or external factors are involved. Think about someone clinging to a failing business strategy, convinced that a big breakthrough is just around the corner. Instead of stepping back and reassessing, they keep pouring in time and energy, hoping that their luck will change. It's a lot like buying lottery tickets. We know the odds of winning are ridiculously low, but we keep buying them, thinking, one day it'll be my turn. But false hope can be a trap. If we keep investing in something that's clearly not working, simply because we believe it will eventually pay off, we risk wasting time, energy, and opportunities that could have been used elsewhere. That doesn't mean we should stop believing in success. It just means we need to be smart about how we get there. Because sometimes moving forward isn't just about persistence. It's about knowing when to stop, rethink, and change course. Number 5. The fear of admitting failure. Let's be real. Admitting that we're on the wrong path is never easy. Even when something clearly isn't working, we push forward. Why? Because stopping feels like admitting that everything we've done so far was for nothing. That's where the sunk cost fallacy traps us. We've already put so much time, effort, and even money into something. So instead of letting go, we hold on, even when we know it's no longer the best choice. Ever picked up a new hobby only to realize later, you don't actually enjoy it? Maybe you started learning guitar, but after months of practice, it just doesn't excite you. Or maybe you took on a side project, but now it feels more like an obligation than something you're passionate about. But instead of stopping, you force yourself to continue. Not because you love it, but because you feel like quitting would mean wasting all the effort you've already put in. But here's the reality. Time spent on something you don't enjoy, that's already wasted time. Holding on doesn't undo the past. It just stops you from moving forward. Sometimes walking away isn't failure. It's making space for something better. You don't have to keep doing something just because you started. You don't have to stay stuck in a loop of effort that leads nowhere. Because in the end, progress isn't about how much you've done. It's about where you're going next. Conclusion. You've been working hard. You've been putting in the hours, the effort, the sweat. But here's the real question. Is all that effort actually taking you where you want to go? Because not all effort leads to progress. Some effort just keeps you busy. Some effort makes you feel productive. But only the right effort creates real results. Progress isn't about how much you do. It's about what actually moves you forward. So now it's up to you. Will you keep pushing forward, hoping things will change? Or will you step back, rethink, and make sure your effort actually matters? Work hard, yes, but work smart. Because wasted effort is just another way to stay stuck. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any future content.